Okay, welcome to lesson 52, divide rational numbers. Lesson 52 of numbers and operations. And this looks like it's going to be our last video directly dealing with decimals. We are going to move into properties and other things. We will be doing operations, but we won't specifically focus just on decimals. So now that we've seen rational numbers, we're going to do operations with all kinds of rational numbers, which means fractions and decimals. Okay, here's our objective. So find the quotient. So we know to divide. We know how to divide decimals. Again, so this is just more practice. So negative 4.1 on the outside, negative 49.2 on the inside. We have two negatives, which is an even amount, so they become positive. We had to make sure that our divisor is a whole number, so move that over. Put your decimal on top of the house. After the 2 and 492. So 41 goes into 49 once. 41, subtracting, we get 82. Let's try 2 and 82. Oh, look at that. It terminates. So 49.2 divided by 4.1 is 12. Oh, I was meant to do the math here. Okay, so 2.5 divided by 5/6. Find the quotient. So I'm going to do this as a fraction, then convert the fraction. Since they're both fractions, let's just do the fraction and convert the fraction into a decimal. Why convert and then do the math? So let's do improper fractions. 2 times 2 is 4 plus 1 is 5. 5 halves divided by 5/6. And we know that when we have a division, when we divide fractions, the rule is to change and flip. 5/2, division changed to multiplication. The fraction gets flipped upside down. We can factor out. And this becomes 3/1, which is just 3. And there's no decimal to worry about. And if you were to do this as a decimal, I know for a fact that 6, when you divide by 3, 6, 7, and 9, for most numbers, you will get a repeating decimal. So that's why I avoided 5, 6. Anytime I see a 6, a 3, a 7, or a 9 on the bottom, I'm going to try to avoid them at all costs because those numbers repeat. And I've shown that in previous videos where dividing by these for most numbers will repeat. Not for all numbers, but for a lot of numbers. And our final one. Okay, so we know that this number goes inside of here. And we got 2 negatives, so we just ignore the negatives because they come positive. Put the decimal there, make your divisor a whole number. Move the decimal once. And there you go. So 56 into 0.168. $56 goes into 1 0 times, goes into 6 0 times. Let's try 3. 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 6 is 18. Carry the 1. 3 times 5, 16. Oh, look at that. It terminates. So 0.0168 or 168 10,000ths divided by negative 5.6 becomes 3,000ths. Okay, found the quotient. Example 4, dividing a whole number by a fraction. So we're going to do 80 divided by 3 1/3. I know I have a third here. So what I'm going to do is use fraction math to solve this problem. So I'm going to do 80 over 1, since it's written first, it goes first when you're writing it like this. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1, plus 10 over 3. And now we can do some fraction math on the next page. 80 over 1 divided by 10 over 3. Change, flip. 80 over 1 times 3 over 10. Factoring out becomes 8 equals 24. And there's no decimals to deal with. So sometimes, whenever you see a 3, a 6, a 7, or a 9, it's better just to leave them as fractions and do the fraction math than to turn it into decimals and try to do it that way. Okay, those are our 4 examples. Meet me at the end of the video for a recap. Okay, so we've seen this one before, and we know this is divisible by 25. So 725 divided by 0.25, 1, 2. I move it 1, 2. 25 goes into 72 twice. 2 quarters is 50. I get 22, which is less than 25, so I'll go on to 25. So now let's think about this in terms of quarters. 4 quarters is $1. That means 8 quarters is $2, and then one more quarter makes 9 quarters. 9 times 5 is 45. 4, 9 times 2 is 18, plus 4 is 22, and that ends there. Now, we got our negative, so worry about our negative at the end. 1 negative, 1 is an odd number, and the odd number of negatives in multiplication or division will give you a negative answer. Okay, negative 3/4 divided by 0.5. So let's do this 2 ways. 4 divided by 3 is 728,205. So negative 75 divided by 0.5 will give us Make that once times 5 is 225, 5. So we got negative 1.5. Okay, so now we've converted this one into a decimal. And so now I want to do it the opposite way. I want to convert this one into a fraction and do the division and see what we come up with. So 5, to convert it into a 5 tenths, 5 over 10, divided by 5 over 5. And we've seen this before. So hopefully you recognize 5 tenths is 1/2. So negative 3/4 divided by 1/2. We know the change and the flip, negative 3 over 4 times 2 over 1. We know that we factor out is negative 3 over 2. And 2 goes into 3 once, 1 left over, 2 stays down in the bottom. And we know that 0.5 is a half, so we get the same answer. So it works either. Okay. Find a quotient. We just saw in the previous video that 75 was 3/4. Negative 3/4 divided by 3/5. Change, flip. Change to multiplication, flip 5 over 3. Cross factor, negative 5 over 4 equals negative 1 1/4. Or doing it as decimals, 3 divided by 5 is 6, 0.6. So negative, I don't need to write the negative inside the house. 0.6, move the decimal, I get 1. 1, 5, 2 times 12, 3, 0, 0, 5. 125, negative 125. And we've seen in previous videos that 4 into 1 gives us 2, 8, 20, and gives us 5. So 1/4 is equal to 0.25. So the answer is the same both ways. Okay, look at this. Negative 3/5 divided by 18 over 25. 2 negatives become a positive, so we're going to not worry about that. So we got 3/5 times, because we change, and then we flip 25 over 18, cross factoring, gives us 5 over 6. Okay, so let's turn this into a decimal. So since this is a decimal lesson, I'm going to turn this into a decimal. I could leave it as 5/6, which is the correct answer. Or I can go ahead and turn this into a decimal. And we've seen this in other videos. And we know this, which is 0.833 repeating. And how do I know it's repeating? We keep getting 20. Okay, so that's the end of this video. We're not done with decimals, but we're done with the lesson strictly dealing with dividing decimals. So the next video is going to deal with some properties. Then we're going to move to percents. And a percent is a fraction and a decimal. It's all the same thing. Fractions, decimals, percents are just division, incomplete division. So there we go. So thank you for watching this video. Like and subscribe. Subscribe and hit the notification bell.